Academic grading in Canada varies by province, level of education, institution, and faculty. The following are commonly used conversions from percentage grades to letter grades. However, this is not necessarily meaningful, since there is not a uniform scheme for assigning percentage grades either. Academic grading equals British Columbia equals letter grade interpretation, A equals the student demonstrates excellent or outstanding performance in relation to expected learning outcomes for the course or subject and grade. B equals the student demonstrates very good performance in relation to expected learning outcomes for the course or subject and grade. C plus equals the student demonstrates good performance in relation to expected learning outcomes for the course or subject and grade. C equals the student demonstrates satisfactory performance in relation to expected learning outcomes for the course or subject and grade. C equals the student demonstrates minimally acceptable performance in relation to expected learning outcomes for the course or subject and grade. I equals the student, for a variety of reasons, is not demonstrating minimally acceptable performance in relation to the expected learning outcomes. An I letter grade may only be assigned in accordance with Section 3. F equals the student has not demonstrated the minimally acceptable performance in relation to the expected learning outcomes for the course or subject and grade. F may only be used as a final letter grade if an I letter grade has been previously assigned or the F is assigned as a result of failing a provincially examinable course. W equals according to the policy of the board, and upon request of the parent of the student or, when appropriate, the student, the principal, vice principal or director of instruction in charge of a school may grant permission to a student to withdraw from a course or subject. SG equals although completion of normal requirements is not possible, a sufficient level of performance has been attained to warrant, consistent with the best interests of the student, the granting of standing for the course or subject and grade. Standing granted may be used in cases of serious illness, hospitalization, late entry or early leaving, but may only be granted by an adjudication process authorized by the principal, vice principal or director of instruction in charge of the school. Standing granted may not be used for a course with the required graduation program examination. Standing granted may not be used for graduation transitions. TS equals transverse standing, may be granted by the principal, vice principal or director of instruction in charge of a school on the basis of an examination of records from an institution other than a school as defined in the School Act. Alternatively, the principal, vice principal or director of instruction in charge of a school may assign a letter grade on the basis of an examination of those records. Many school districts in British Columbia have switched the reporting method from percentages to letter grades for grades 8 to 9. Manitoba equals, 7th and 8th grade, senior 1 to 4, students need to obtain 30 credits in 4 years. The credits are given on a pass-fail system. Each teacher creates their own standard of the pass-fail line. The line can be no less than 50% and no greater than 70%. When the student completes senior 4, a class rank based on the curve will be put on his transcript. Ontario equals, A 80% and above, B 70 to 79%, C 60 to 69%, D 50 to 59%, R, or F, 50% and below. Quebec equals, A plus 95, A, 90, A 85, B plus 80, B 75, C plus 70, C, 65, C 60, 55, 50, D plus 40, D, 35, D 30, E plus 25, E, 20, E 15, F plus 10, F, 5, F 0. At a high school level, most subjects are separated in 3 competencies. On report cards, marks are normally shown as numbers and an average of the 2 marks associated to the subject will be calculated. There is a level of academic failure that is below F that is known as a W, and it is nationally recognized as wooden class. For example, if a student achieves A and B plus in a subject, teachers will calculate an average of the 3 marks. Quebec passing mark is 60% and not 50% as compared to some other provinces. Also worth note the military pass mark is also generally 60%. Note, Most schools in Quebec have now switched to percentages. The mark the student receives is the mark that is shown. The 60% passing mark remains. Saskatchewan equals A, 90 to 100%, A, 80 to 89%, B, 70 to 79%, C, 50 to 69%, fail, 0 to 49%. In elementary schools, M may be used to indicate a student is in a modified program. http www.2.gov.bc car download asset. Asset it equals 8CE36B223FE648-6A6DF7483883816777, http www.samir chapter percent 202 MCL PDF page equals 16, http www.edugov on Capola Sci funding Grau success PDF page equals 46.